Operation Spider's Web. Kiev targeted Russian nuclear-capable strategic bombers in Siberia and elsewhere. It is by far Ukraine's most audacious attack on Russia's long-range strike forces, causing estimated losses of about $7 billion. How did this happen? Hello and welcome. I'm Mark Lynn. Let's connect the dots. A covert drone attack by Ukraine's security service, or SBU, deep inside Russia on June 1, 2025, seen by analysts as one of the largest drone strikes on Russian air bases. Operation Spider's Web targeted 5 strategic locations: Belaya, Dyagilevo, Ivanovo, Severny, Olenia, and Ukrainka. Reports suggest it was carefully planned and executed. Apparently, took 18 months to plan and execute. There were 117 explosive-laden drones that were smuggled into Russia and launched remotely. They hit 41 Russian military aircraft, including Tu-95, two 22M bombers, and A-50 radar planes. The estimated loss Russia suffered is about $7 billion. The attack has forced Russia to increase security checks, slowing down logistics and raising internal costs.
By far the most significant attack that Ukraine has mounted to date against Russia's long-range strike forces. The long-range aviation force, as part of the Russian aerospace forces, so their bomber fleet, is extremely heavily tasked against Ukrainian targets with large salvos of air-launched cruise missiles, and has been so literally throughout the entire war. They're also one leg of Russia's nuclear deterrent, the air-launched cruise missile leg with what we would term AS-23 or KH-102 nuclear missiles, or KH-101 conventional cruise missiles. Of the fleet is around 60 to 65 Tu-95s thought to have been active prior to this strike. So at least 8 destroyed, and potentially significantly more than that will be a significant chunk of the fleet's available assets.
The audacity of the attack has captured the world's imagination. Ukraine's security service smuggled drones into Russia by hiding them inside wooden cabins mounted on trucks. These cabins were designed to resemble ordinary mobile structures, allowing them to pass through Russian checkpoints unnoticed. Once near the targeted air bases, the roofs of the cabins were remotely opened, releasing explosive-laden drones to strike military aircraft. The drones were allowed to take off and strike targets. The drones bypassed Russia's long-range air defenses and carried out one of the deepest drone strikes inside Russian territory. There is no confirmed evidence that Western nations were directly involved in planning Operation Spider's Web. The United States said it was not informed in advance.
Was President Trump informed in advance by Ukraine that the attack is coming?
He was not. Carrie.
The operation was apparently conceived and executed by Ukraine's security service, with President Zelensky personally overseeing its progress. There are other analysts who speculate that NATO intelligence sharing may have indirectly supported Ukraine's strategic planning. Russian media has described the operation as a choreographed NATO production.
At the Hague summit, I expect allies to demonstrate their enduring commitment to our collective defense by deciding to boost defense industrial production and increase defense investment. And this is simply essential to our security.
Ukraine is backed by several Western nations, including the United States, the United Kingdom, European Union, and NATO. These countries provide military aid, financial assistance, and diplomatic support to help Ukraine resist Russian aggression. The US is the largest supplier of military aid, including missiles, drones, and intelligence support. The European Union provides joint procurement of ammunition and missiles under the European Peace Facility and financial aid to Ukraine. The United Kingdom supplies weapons and training. Several Nordic and Baltic countries offer military and logistics support. It is clear the attack has strengthened Ukraine's position, and NATO members will only continue to strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities.
But now all the European countries must do their main focus to European defense so that the United States can do a bigger share in the Indo-Pacific area. But if all countries are kind of dispersing their powers and focus, that will only have that kind of conclusion and impact that the European defense is not going fastly up. It's going to slow up, and that will benefit Putin.
Today we see the situation clearly. There must be a new level of pressure, new sanctions, and not just from Europe. We need to work on joint sanctions at the G7 level, including with the United States and with everyone in the world who wants peace. It's very, very important that each of our partners supports this exact approach.
Russia views the Western support as an escalation, leading to increased tensions. Russia launched major drone and missile strikes on Ukraine following Operation Spider's Web. Reports indicate that Russian forces targeted Sumy, Kharkiv, Odessa, and Chernihiv, resulting in multiple casualties. Russia's response with massive missile and drone strikes on Ukrainian cities targeted infrastructure, leading to casualties and economic damage. The attacks have raised concerns about further escalation, with analysts comparing Ukraine's operation to Russia's Pearl Harbor moment. Peace talks between Ukraine and Russia were held in Turkey on June 2, and while prisoners of war exchanges have been discussed and there is forward movement, expectations for a breakthrough remain low. Russia is likely to harden its stance, while Ukraine sees the attack as a strategic leverage.
The third point in our agenda is a meeting of leaders. We firmly believe that all key issues can only be solved at the level of leaders. And the leaders' meeting could be with possible involvement of other leaders, such as President of the United States.
Russia's peace proposal at the Istanbul talks wants Ukraine to withdraw from Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson, which Russia claims as its own. It offers a 30-day ceasefire once Ukraine starts withdrawing troops. Russia also demands international recognition for its sovereignty over these occupied Ukrainian regions. Ukraine's peace proposal at the Istanbul talks outlines a phased roadmap focusing on ceasefire, prisoner exchanges, and territorial negotiations. Both sides are studying the proposals, but major differences remain, especially regarding territorial control and security guarantees. Ukraine's Operation Spider's Web has significantly altered the war dynamics, forcing Russia to continue retaliation, hence reshaping strategic calculations. Ukraine's ability to strike deep inside Russian territory has made Russian military planners now face logistical concerns and increased surveillance over internal security. Ukraine's SBU, that's the security service, they've said that they had also hit the road and rail bridge linking Russia and the Crimean Peninsula below the water level with explosives. This is after the Russian retaliation to Operation Spider's Web. The SBU posted a video on its social media channels. It showed an explosion at the bridge. The Ukrainian government delegation was in Washington to discuss military support and sanctions against Russia, a day after Kiev and Moscow held their second round of peace talks on June 2. Peace talks remain uncertain, with diplomatic efforts ongoing. A very special thing mined and produced in China, without which the modern world is incomplete. These materials are used everywhere, from electric vehicles to energy storage, from medical equipment to missiles systems. Now, if these special things are not there, then neither cars will run, nor phones will ring, nor satellites move. Now, the problem is that this is produced by China, but the country has refused to export it to other countries of the world. The entire world, as well as India, is facing a shortage. In fact, the global auto industry has warned of a production halt. Are you wondering what this special thing is? Well, I'll tell you. These are rare earth minerals. Rare earth minerals are as vital as our backbone in our spines. But today, why are we discussing this topic? These rare earth or critical minerals and magnets. Let me tell you, it is because China has suspended the exports of certain rare earth minerals and magnets that are crucial for the world's automobile, semiconductor, as well as aerospace industries. Global concerns over China's control of critical minerals exports intensified this week. Automakers and governments have sounded the alarm over mounting supply disruptions following a similar complaint from India's EV makers last week. German automakers became the latest to warn that an exports halt would shut down vehicle production and rattle their local economies. The head of Germany's auto lobby, Hildegard Müller, said that if the situation is not changed quickly, production delays and even production outages can no longer be ruled out. The European Union Trade Commissioner has also informed his Chinese counterpart about this alarming situation.
I informed my Chinese counterpart about the alarming situation in the European car industry, but I would say industry as such, because clearly the rare earth and permanent magnets are absolutely essential for the industrial production.
According to the International Energy Agency and the United States' Geological Survey 2025, China produces 60% of the world's rare earth elements and controls 90% of global refining capacity. This gives Beijing enormous power over global supply chains. The restrictions, which took effect on April 4, mandate special export licenses for 7 rare earth elements, REEs, and related magnets, citing national security and non-proliferation concerns. The affected critical elements include dysprosium, gadolinium, lutetium, samarium, scandium, terbium, and yttrium. These rare materials are crucial for producing electronics, electrical vehicles, defense equipment, and renewable energy technologies. The main consumer of these 7 metals is the car industry, which uses a lot of heat-resistant rare earth magnets. But why has China suspended the exports of rare earths? Well, let's understand. China's decision to limit rare earth exports is mainly seen as a way to respond to trade tensions with the United States. When the US placed reciprocal tariffs on Chinese goods under President Donald Trump, China used its control over rare earth metals to push back. The Chinese government has also cited the need to manage its rare earth resources sustainably and to curb illegal mining activities, which have raised environmental and social concerns. US President Trump accuses his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping of violating the agreements with the US. But he called him very tough and extremely hard to make a deal with. The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio also targeted China over rare earth minerals and said that China is more interested in industry dominance, not in making money.
Every country in the world is now pitching themselves as a source of rare earth minerals. Every country in the world, by the way, they're not that rare, so every country has access to it, but it's become a big, that alone is not enough, because you have to have access to rare earth minerals, but then you have to have the ability to process them, and you have to make them into usable material. And frankly, what the Chinese have done over the last 25 or 30 years is they've cornered the market. And this is one of the true challenges to sort of pure free enterprise view of these things. You cannot compete with a nation state who has decided they're not interested in making money. They're not interested in making money in this field. They are interested in the short term in dominating the market.
Earlier, Trump had imposed tariffs as high as 145% on Chinese goods, only to scale them back after stocks, bonds, and currency markets revolted over the sweeping nature of the levies. In response to questions on how it's handling Beijing's curbs on rare earth minerals, the White House said it is actively monitoring China's compliance with last month's tariff agreement.
Well, I can assure you that the administration is actively monitoring China's compliance with the Geneva Trade Agreement. I know the United States, on our end, we have complied with the terms that we set, and our administration officials continue to be engaged in correspondence with their Chinese counterparts. And as you all know, and I know there's a lot of interest in it, there will be a leader-to-leader talk very soon. And when that happens, as always, we will let you know.
On the other hand, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi met the US ambassador to Beijing and stated that after trade discussions held last month in Geneva, China has conscientiously and strictly followed the agreements made by both sides. However, he expressed concern over the US's recent actions. It is regrettable that the US recently introduced a series of negative measures for groundless reasons, infringing upon China's legitimate rights and interests which China firmly opposes. The United States is heavily reliant on China for over 61% of its rare earth imports. It faces potential production halts, and this is in key sectors. Big car makers like Tesla and General Motors have warned that delays could stop production. India, the world's third largest market, the car market, is also feeling the impact of rare earth minerals crisis. Car makers like Maruti Suzuki and Bajaj Auto said that their supply chains are being squeezed. Many of their electric as well as export-focused models rely on magnets from China. Japan and Europe are also feeling the pressure. Japan, which imports 60% of its rare earth elements from China, is investing in Australia's Lynas rare earths to reduce dependency. On Wednesday, the European Commission announced 13 new raw material projects outside the bloc to increase its supplies of metals and minerals essential for it to stay competitive in energy transition. This is not the first time China has weaponized rare earths. In 2010, it briefly cut off exports to Japan during a territorial dispute, prompting Tokyo to diversify its supply sources and invest in refining abroad. However, other nations, including the US, failed to act decisively. But this time, China's grip is tighter than ever. Its state-controlled refining sector dictates the flow of rare earth magnets that are crucial for a wide range of strategic industries. Now, rare earth elements are not geologically scarce. They exist in various parts of the world, including the United States, Australia, and Myanmar. However, China dominates the processing and refining, handling up to 90% of global output. Extracting and refining rare earths is chemically intensive and environmentally taxing. So China has developed the infrastructure and expertise to process these materials efficiently. China has also invested heavily in rare earth processing, making it cheaper and more scalable than other countries. While countries like Japan and the United States are working on alternatives, they still rely on China for refining and high-performance magnet production. If the current standoff continues, the world may be forced into a rapid transformation of its supply chains. The rare earth minerals crisis should be a wake-up call, not just for governments, but for industries and investors worldwide. Breaking China's stranglehold won't be easy or quick, but it's essential for economic security and technological independence. That's all we have in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Mark Lin signing off. Take care and stay safe. Namaskar.